In the world of relationship psychology, understanding human attraction is often like trying to decode a complex, hidden language. While some men are entirely open and direct about their feelings, a massive percentage of men choose a completely different route. They hide their attraction behind a wall of silence, indifference, or casual friendship. This leaves many women caught in a frustrating loop of confusion, constantly analyzing every look, text, and conversation to figure out exactly where they stand. You might feel a strong, undeniable spark when you are around him, yet his actual words and actions seem to pull you in two completely opposite directions. One day he seems incredibly close, and the next he plays it completely cool. This confusing dynamic rarely means he is uninterested. Instead, it usually indicates that he is experiencing an intense internal battle, desperately trying to suppress his true feelings. Men choose to hide their attraction for a wide variety of reasons rooted deeply in emotional psychology. For many, it stems from a fear of vulnerability or a deep-seated dread of rejection. Admitting feelings puts his ego on the line, and he may not be ready to take that emotional gamble. For others, the stakes are tied to his social environment. He might be a close friend who fears that confessing his love will ruin the existing bond forever. Or he could be a co-worker navigating professional boundaries, where an open romance feels too risky. To protect himself, his ego, and his social standing, he puts up a carefully constructed shield to appear totally unaffected. However, while a man can completely control the words that leave his mouth, controlling his subconscious mind is an entirely different story. This is where the power of nonverbal communication and behavioral psychology comes into play. No matter how hard a man tries to lock down his emotions, human biology and subconscious drives will always find a way to break through the surface. His attraction will inevitably leak out through involuntary physical tells, micro-expressions, and sudden changes in his routine behavior. He might believe he is doing a flawless job of playing it cool, but his body language, his eyes, his reaction to other men, and even the way his closest friends behave around you will tell an entirely different story. Recognizing these hidden patterns is the ultimate key to cutting through the mixed signals and uncovering the truth. When you know exactly what psychological triggers to look for, you can easily spot the difference between a man who is genuinely indifferent and a man who is completely overwhelmed by his feelings for you. By understanding the subtle nuances of his behavior, you can accurately map out his true emotional state without ever needing him to say a word. Let's dive deep into the 15 undeniable, psychologically backed signs that a man is completely crazy about you, even when he is doing absolutely everything in his power not to show it. The subtle glance and quick look away. When a man is trying to hide his feelings, his eyes will almost always give him away. You will frequently catch him looking at you from across the room, but the moment your eyes meet, he will quickly snap his gaze in another direction. This reflex happens because his subconscious drive to look at someone he is drawn to is constantly battling his conscious desire to keep his attraction a secret. He might suddenly look down at his phone, pretend to be deeply engaged in a conversation with someone else, or fixate on an object nearby. This nervous, fast reaction is a clear giveaway. It proves that he was not just casually scanning the room. He was actively focusing on you. He wants to watch you and admire you, but he is terrified that getting caught will expose his true emotions before he is ready to admit them. His body language faces you, even in a crowd, even when a man is actively trying to suppress his feelings. His physical alignment is incredibly difficult to fake. In a crowded room or a busy group setting, you will notice that his shoulders, chest, and feet are almost always pointed directly toward you. This is a powerful involuntary psychological response known as fronting. It signifies that you are the absolute center of his attention and his primary focus, regardless of who else is talking or what is happening around him. Even if he is engaged in a conversation with someone on the complete opposite side of the group, his lower body will naturally pivot in your direction. He might consciously try to act distant, cold, or completely indifferent, but his physical posture acts as a magnet, betraying his hidden desire to connect and revealing exactly where his true interest lies. He remembers the tiniest details you mention. A man who is trying to hide his attraction will often listen to you with an intense level of concentration that he rarely shows to anyone else. Weeks after a casual offhand conversation, he will suddenly bring up a specific detail you mentioned, such as your favorite childhood snack, a random song you love, or a minor problem you currently face at work. While ordinary acquaintances usually let these tiny details fade away, a man who secretly holds deep feelings for you stores them away like valuable gold. Remembering these small details shows that everything you say holds immense weight and importance to him. He is paying incredibly close attention to your life because he cares deeply, even if he tries to play it cool and act like it is no big deal when he accidentally brings those memories up in conversation. He's always just there in your space. When someone is secretly attracted to you, they will constantly find subtle, seemingly accidental ways to enter your immediate physical proximity. You will start to notice that he frequently ends up standing next to you in group photos, sitting at the exact same table during lunch, or walking down the same hallway just as you leave. If you are at a gathering, he always seems to hover within your general vicinity. He will always frame these frequent encounters as pure coincidences or standard convenience, but they are rarely accidental. His subconscious mind is constantly driving him to be as close to you as possible because your presence makes him feel secure and energized. He wants to be around your energy, so he creates these low-key opportunities to interact without ever having to make an official, high-pressure move. The nervous fidget around you, being close to someone you secretly desire, creates an intense spike in nervous energy and adrenaline, which is highly visible in his physical behavior. When you step into the room or sit next to him, he might suddenly start fidgeting with his clothes, adjusting his collar, checking his watch, or running his hands through his hair. You might also notice him constantly shifting his weight from foot to foot, or playing nervously with his phone. These small, restless actions are clear signs that your presence directly impacts his emotional comfort zone. He is hyper-aware of how he looks and acts around you, and this sudden self-consciousness breaks through his calm exterior. He wants to appear totally cool, relaxed, and completely unaffected. But the internal pressure of hiding his deep attraction makes it almost impossible for his body to stay completely still. He treats you differently than other women. A man trying to hide his feelings will completely change his usual social patterns whenever you are around. If he is naturally a loud, outgoing, and flirtatious guy with everyone else, he might suddenly become quiet, reserved, or incredibly polite the moment he speaks to you. Conversely, if he is typically shy and quiet with people, he might push himself to be extra witty or teasing around you to get your attention. This sharp contrast in his behavior happens because you are not just another person in his social circle. You represent a unique emotional risk. He cannot act completely natural. Because he is hyper-focused on controlling his reactions, he carefully calculates his words and tone, creating an obvious shift in energy that sets you completely apart from how he interacts with any other woman in his life. He involuntarily mimics your actions. When a man feels a deep, hidden connection to you, his brain will naturally mirror your physical behavior without him even realizing it. If you sit back and cross your legs, you will notice that within a few moments, he will subconsciously adjust his posture to match yours. If you take a sip of your drink, lean in toward the table, or use specific hand gestures while speaking, he will frequently replicate those exact movements shortly after. This psychological phenomenon, known as the chameleon effect, is a pure reflection of subconscious empathy and intense attraction. He is so deeply attuned to your presence and locked into your rhythm that his body automatically tries to align with yours. Even if his words are completely casual or distant, his physical mirroring proves that he is totally in sync with you. He finds low-key excuses to touch you, even when a man is trying his best to hold back. His desire to be close to you will slip through in subtle, brief moments of physical contact. He will constantly find safe, socially acceptable ways to break the touch barrier without making his intentions too obvious. You might notice him gently brushing his shoulder against yours while walking side by side, guiding you through a crowded room with a brief hand on your lower back, or lingering just a second too long when giving you a high five or a casual greeting hug. He might also playfully nudge you when making a joke. These fleeting moments of contact are never accidental. He is testing your boundaries and craving physical proximity, using these casual, low-pressure interactions to feel close to you without having to openly declare his romantic feelings. He gets unusually quiet or defensive when other men are mentioned. Jealousy is one of the hardest emotions for a man to hide when he secretly likes you. If you start talking about another guy, bring up a male coworker, or mention going out on a date, his entire demeanor will change instantly. He might suddenly fall completely silent, cross his arms, or withdraw from the conversation entirely. Alternatively, He might try to casually downplay the other guy's achievements or crack a sharp, defensive joke to mask his discomfort. Because he hasn't openly expressed his feelings, he knows he has no right to be possessive, which creates an intense internal struggle. His sudden mood drop or cold vibe is a direct result of him trying to suppress his frustration and hurt at the thought of another man winning your attention. His friends act differently around you. A man's closest friends almost always know exactly who he is secretly crushing on, and their behavior around you will give him away instantly. When you walk into a room where his group is hanging out, you might notice his friends nudging him, smirking or suddenly falling silent. They might deliberately clear a seat next to him, so you two are forced to sit together. Or they might bring up his accomplishments to make him look good in front of you. Sometimes they will even tease him directly about you, just to see how he reacts. Even if he maintains a completely straight face and plays it totally cool, the knowing looks, inside jokes, and sudden shifts in his friends' energy are a massive indicator that you are a major topic of conversation when you aren't around. He's the first to notice when you change something. When a man secretly harbors feelings for you, he looks at you with a level of focus that goes far beyond casual observation. The moment you walk into a room with a brand new haircut, a different style of clothing, or even a subtle change in your makeup, he will notice it immediately, while other people might take hours or days to register a change. His eyes are already hyper-attuned to your baseline appearance. He might try to deliver the compliment in a completely casual, offhand way, acting as if it is no big deal, or he might bring it up quietly, when no one else is listening. This sharp attention to detail proves that he is constantly studying your face and your style. You occupy a major space in his mind, and his immediate recognition of these small updates betrays exactly how much time he spends focusing on you. He deepens his voice or straightens his posture when you walk in. Men have deep-seated biological triggers that automatically activate whenever a woman they find attractive enters their immediate presence. The absolute second you walk into his field of vision, his posture will instinctively shift. He will straighten his spine, push his shoulders back, and puff out his chest to appear larger and more dominant. At the same time, his vocal cords will naturally tighten, causing his voice to drop to a noticeably deeper, more resonant tone when he speaks to you or ensures you can hear him. He performs these physical adjustments entirely on a subconscious level, driven by an evolutionary urge to project strength, masculinity, and confidence. He may actively try to keep his verbal communication completely casual and cool, but his sudden physical transformation reveals his primal desire to stand out and impress you. He answers your texts instantly, but acts cool in person. The contrast between his digital behavior and his real-life actions is often one of the biggest indicators of hidden attraction. When you send him a text message or a DM, his response will often arrive almost instantly, featuring thoughtful replies, engaging questions, or playful emojis. Behind the safety of a screen, he feels completely free to show his interest without the immediate fear of rejection or awkwardness. However, the moment you see him face to face, he might suddenly act somewhat detached, quiet, or completely casual, barely matching that intense digital energy. This frustrating shift happens because the pressure of real-life interaction forces his defense mechanisms right back up. He is terrified of exposing his true feelings in person, so he uses a cool exterior to overcompensate for how incredibly excited he actually was to hear from you online. He offers help for no real reason. A man who secretly likes you will consistently look for ways to step into the role of your protector or helper, using practical tasks as a safe cover for his affection. Whether you need assistance moving a heavy box, solving a difficult problem at work, fixing a minor issue with your car, or simply grabbing a coffee, he will be the very first person to volunteer his time. He will often go completely out of his way, sacrificing his own comfort or schedule, just to make your life a little bit easier. When you thank him, he will likely downplay his efforts, claiming it was no trouble at all, or that he was already in the area. This behavior allows him to actively care for you and win your appreciation, without ever having to take a major emotional risk or openly confess his feelings. The mixed signals, blowing hot and cold, the ultimate sign that a man likes you but is actively fighting. It is a consistent pattern of intense mixed signals. One day, he might be incredibly attentive, deeply engaging, and highly playful, making you feel like the center of his universe. Then suddenly, he might pull back completely, ignoring your messages or acting distant for the next few days. This confusing hot and cold dynamic is a direct result of his intense internal battle. Whenever he feels that he has accidentally shown too much interest or let his guard down too far, panic sets in. He immediately pulls away to protect his ego and regain control of his emotions. He is caught in the exhausting loop of wanting to be close to you, getting terrified of his own vulnerability, and then retreating to keep his secret safe.